Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining from. Thank you for being here once again. This is Datafluence 2023, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy because we have started this this is the last to touch on based on where we started from, and I'm also very happy to be with us today. We have the power people in the studio with me here, and I will just quickly move to the next slide. All right, so we have to appreciate our partners once again. Thank you for always supporting us. We are not taking this for granted. So, with me in the studio, we have our keynote speaker in the person of Mr. Ayodeji Folarin. With over 23 years in the computing arena, Ayodeji has focused on data platform solutions around Microsoft Azure, Office 365. He has helped many organizations to migrate their system to the cloud and, of course, get insights from their data source for the past 10 years. He has been involved in presenting, in presenting and of course community engagement or speaking and helping other professionals in better usage and taking advantage of Microsoft data solutions from everywhere, of course, from flat file to relational database, SQL, and all of that. Starting is developing career back in 1994, programming and all of this Fortran. Ayodeji has helped companies in multiple countries, that is in many countries, in many business areas to design and deploy their computing solution. His love for spreadsheet and application development made him a go-to person when it comes to spreadsheet, and of course he did VBA to compete with Lotus then. That's Lotus 123 then. Achieving his first Microsoft certification in 2010 as SQL Server 2008 database administrator. Ayodeji is loaded and of course he's been a community leader, founder of many community partners, and of course, we can't take you for granted. Thank you for being here to talk to us. So we will just go to you right now before we bring other people on board. Mr. Ode, you confirm that you can.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
So you want to share your screen or you have the
Okay.
floor? I'll pull this down.
So let me see. You can see my screen. Please confirm.
I'm going to take a look now. Yes, I can see it. Yes, I
Okay.
can
So
see
let
it.
me know if my screen is up. So I take it from there.
Uh, uh, Not it's been added, but let me see. Let me remove it and re-add it again. Not yet from my end. It's been added. Okay, yes, it's fine now. Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much. So we are here to talk about data governance, and we'll be using Microsoft tool that we all know, that is Purview. Now, Ayodeji Folarin as well introduced. So I will be taking us through few highlights around what you're expected to learn today. So let me quickly talk generally about Microsoft Fabric. This is an introduction to unified analytics platform. Is a platform that brings together all those powerful tools that we need as far as data analysis is concerned. And most of us will be using all these solutions in on different platforms, on Azure, on the Power BI web service, and so on and so forth. But with the introduction of Microsoft Fabric, we now have a platform that houses all these solutions from the data factory. to data engineering, to data warehousing, to data science, to real-time analytics, to Power BI, to data activator. So just like your trigger and all those stuff we used to have. Now we now have a complete solution bundled together in a single box called Microsoft Fabric. And all these are seated on unified data foundation with, that is, one lake. And today we are actually looking at a solution called Microsoft Purview, which is the persistent data governance solution that can actually help in managing all this data security as we may have it. Now, let me quickly give us an eye opener into Purview. Microsoft Purview, when we talk about risk and compliance, this is for risk and compliance management and the legal team, and is also a unified data governance solution for data consumers, data engineers, and data officers. Purview in general provides a solution to help govern, protect, and manage the data estates. The data catalog of Purview can now scan the entire Microsoft Fabric artifacts, not just Power BI alone, but we now have a comprehensive solution. Now, Purview is just an information protection and sensitivity label that will be part of Microsoft Fabric element to help protect the data as the organization needs. Now, let's quickly run through some statistics, and I will be happy to let you know that a survey was actually conducted some years back. And during this survey, there was a question that was asked. 61% of the attendees said they desire to optimize their data governance in the organization. And 42% said they believe they were on the track to meet their goal, their data governance goal. And to my greatest surprise, only 11% have a strong governance structure in place. 11% just 2 years ago. And just 10% believe that finance data governance is a key benefit. Now, let's leave those percentage and quickly look at another amazing part. That is why I want all of us on this call to pay keen attention to what the speakers will be dishing out to us today. 20%. When we talk about companies with strong data governance and what this can do for them, it can help them achieve up to 20% more revenue. Imagine if you have a better data governance structure in place, pushing the revenue of the organization up by 20% is actually amazing. And number two, it also, from research, reduce the costs by what? 30%. Cut down the cost by 30% and push up your revenue by 20%. Put these two percentages together, then you have a better understanding of why data governance is key and important as a solution in your organization. Now, in general, what is data governance? Data governance is the process of ensuring that data is of high quality. Understand those facts. Secure, compliant, and accessible for various purposes. Data governance help organizations to use data effectively and responsibly and to achieve their business goal and objective. Microsoft has lots of offers for us, but we're actually looking at, I will be talking about one. We have professionals on board that will open our eyes into so many things around data governance today. I'm actually excited today. Now, Purview is what I will briefly want you to pay key attention to because it's a powerful solution by Microsoft, and now we have it embedded in Fabric to help us govern around policy, processes, structure, and control. So permit me to quickly talk about the two great speakers that will be giving us high opening into this great data governance solution. With us on the call, we have Winner Emeto. This is actually an expert when it gets to data security, compliance, governance. He worked with Microsoft and he will be breaking this down for us to understand. And also, I have a colleague on the call, is a Microsoft most valuable professional. So he is Jody Roberts. So he is on this call to actually help further to help us understand, implement, so that when we leave this meeting today, we'll have an holistic view of what data governance is all about and within the portfolio of Microsoft Fabric. So I would like to say thank you to all of us on this call and a special thank you to the speakers so far. The journey started some weeks back. This is actually our third week. Our sixth week. And I want to appreciate all these great minds for coming on board to actually support the delivery of Microsoft Fabric this year. Time will not permit me to mention all the names, but if the pictures scroll through the screen, I want to say a big thank you. Day one, thank you for those great speakers. Our day two, when we're talking about data warehouse, I appreciate you all. Data science team, thank you for doing a nice work. The real-time analytical team, I appreciate you. The Power BI team, thank you. And today, sit back and have a wonderful time with our great speaker. Thank you very much. Moderator, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Ayodeji. Thank you for being with us. With me in the studio is Mr. Winner. Mr. Winner, please, your camera and your mic. We want to see your face. I hope you can hear me. Kindly, you want to help us with your... Great, thank you. Good. Your
Yeah,
mic is on, but we can't see your face. Oh,
yeah,
oh,
can you
great,
hear
great.
me?
You can see your face. Yes, yes, yes,
Thank you,
yes, yes.
thank you, thank you.
It is nice having you here. Thank
Same
you for
here,
being with
pleasure
us.
being here.
Let me quickly do, of course, Mr. Yodeji has introduced you so that everyone can see that you are an imported all-round data governance. So everyone, please sit back and relax. He's been introduced. So Mr. Winner, you have the floor. You can share your screen. I'm going to drop the slide now so that you can share your screen.
Okay, thank you. Uh, and please do let me know when my screen is visible.
Okay, okay. Yes, it is now. Please.
Yeah, I guess there is no much introduction needed again, so I'll just jump straight to the conversation. So
All right.
today, sorry, moderator,
Please
did
go
you say
ahead.
anything?
No,
Okay,
no, 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 no. Please go ahead.
okay. Okay, so today we'll be talking about data governance, right? And before we start, I do love anytime I have this kind of opportunity to discuss data governance either with an enterprise audience, SME audience, or just beginners or learners in the field. You know, I love to drive home the importance of data governance and the two key factors that makes data governance what data governance is, right? And then who is solely responsible for data governance initiative and strategies in organization, in IT, or wherever the case might be. So if we look at data governance today, data governance is made up of two key aspects, which is data discovery, right? This is where you start talking about what data do you have in your environment, where did those data originate from, who are making use of those data, and can those data be trusted? This is where you start talking about data integrity. And then to the right hand side, you also need to understand compliance around data, right? In terms of answering questions like what my exposure is based on the kind of data that I have in my environment as a data controller. Is the usage of data in my environment compliant, right? Do I have PII data in my environment? Do I have PCI data in my environment? Do I have GDPR data in my environment? And these are regulations that you as a business, or based on the industry you play in, or based on the region your business is located in, or based on the country, right? You are subject to those regulations. So you need to make sure that you are also compliant. Then you start looking at things like how do I even control access and usage of those data. This is where you now look at things like data security, right? Data loss prevention, right? Data classification. And then you also need to make sure that you as an organization, you as a chief data officer, you have visibility into regulatory controls or requirements that you are subject to based on the business or industry that you play in. So if we look at data science today, if you don't take anything out of this section today, I would love you to understand and assimilate or take in this structure, because this is a global framework used to establish data governance in anywhere in any organization, right? So if we're talking about data governance, right? First thing you need to have in mind is what vision are you setting? Uh, what vision are you setting for your organization?
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Winners.
Is involved in my data governance initiative process and strategy building? What process am I going to define for my data governance? What policies do I need to make sure I have in place to have an end-to-end data governance and to support my data governance initiative? And then what technology am I going to leverage to automate? Because if you are not thinking automation as of today, really, your strategy and your vision is way back, right? Because at the speed that technology is evolving, right, you really need to do what also involve from a data governance standpoint, where you automate your processes, your policy enforcement, and also limit dependency on what on the people side of what your vision and strategy. And this then helps you to do what? Have that end-to-end control in terms of how data are being created, protected, stored, used, maintained, archived, and destroyed. And this is what we know as the what? Data lifecycle management, right? Because if you have a very good data governance strategy in place in your environment, you will definitely have coverage throughout the data what life cycle. And Another thing you also need to consider is what we call in-place data management. In-place data management means that you need to have a technology, right, that goes on its own into different data sources to bring your data or your assets, as we call it, right, in one place where you then do what? Govern those data, right? You don't need to have a technology that you have may probably need to deploy in your edge services, in your data center, in different cloud. That means you have multiple instance of what that particular technology just to be able to do what do data governance. No, the approach is have a comprehensive solution that gives you that capability to do what we call in place data what governance. So regardless of where those data sources are coming from, it could be coming from your edge, your data centers, or multi-cloud, Azure, AWS, GCP, whatever the case might be. And then if we should break this framework, down into what we can assimilate and take home, right, as key actions or key tasks. So if we look at data governance from a framework perspective, right, these are the key individual activities, right, that do what? Builds up that data governance what? Framework in your environment. Things like how you treat data in your environment. Is data strategic to you, or if data is strategic to you, that means you definitely understand the fact that you can derive value from data. You can make the business decisions out of data, right? You will not be you will not be uh, confused in terms of when you meet challenges in your business or your strategy. You're able to leverage the data that you have in your environment to influence the direction of your business. And another thing you also need to consider is the fact that data governance is not just a project. And a lot of people make this mistake. When they hear data governance, they see it as, oh, there is a tool I need to install on my system that then gets data, and then I'm able to maybe do an ETL on my data, do analysis on my data or something like that. Data governance is a program. It's not a project. It's more of a program, because there are a lot of things that comes into play for you to be able to say, yes, I have maybe level 6 or level 10 maturity level from a data governance perspective. Data governance is a team sport. It requires dedicated resources and business support. Remember earlier on when we looked at in summary, what is needed for you to build an end-to-end data governance strategy in your environment. We talked about the vision, and if you look at defining the vision and strategy, people is one of the key elements of building your data governance story, right? Which means you have to bring in a lot of stakeholders, right, together to be able to build an end-to-end data governance story. Data governance is a process, right, that goes across different systems, both internal and external, and different departments, right? And for you to make sure that all these key elements are considered when you are building your data strategy or defining your data governance goal, right? These are the key principles that guides you throughout developing your framework for your organization. Transparency. I cannot emphasize on this enough. Because what I've seen working in the enterprise environment is, most chief data officers, as data custodians, as data owners, because in an enterprise organization, chief data officers are the data what we call data owners, right? As the data owners, they have that feel that I need to do my thing my way. I don't need to give visibility to the security team or the CISO organization, what is happening from a data standpoint. I don't need to give chief compliance officer visibility into what is happening from a data standpoint, right? Transparency is needed for you to be able to have that implementation of what end-to-end data governance what strategy. Remember, data lifecycle management is not just about creating alone; it's also about protecting. And if we are talking about protecting, security needs to come in place. It's not about creating, protecting. We need to also store. We need to also make use of, understand how people are using our data. So even our experienced team, user experience team needs to also come in place. We need to maintain, right? That means our infrastructure team needs to also come in place. We need to archive, we need to also destroy. Our compliance, our legal team needs to also come in play, because you can't just, wake up one day and destroy data, right? There might be legal consequences to that. So that makes it very, very important for you to do what? Apply the transparency principle to your data governance what? Strategy, right? Another principle of data governance is standardization, right? Because you remember earlier on I mentioned about integrity. If your data doesn't have integrity, the whole purpose of data governance is false. And then what? Accountability, right? People need to be accountable for the decision they make in terms of data governance, and also the effort of the organization in terms of monitoring what is happening around your what around your what around your data governance. So if we look at, who is responsible, who is accountable for specific aspect of what related data activities like data quality, data storage, data classification, who is responsible for securing data, assessing those data, and also defining the relevance of what of those data. And people don't, as I said, data governance is a cross-team effort, right? Is a program, is not a project. Because if you look at today, the global standard in terms of establishing a cybersecurity, establishing an end-to-end cybersecurity strategy, or driving a cybersecurity initiative in an organization, be it small or large, it all follow the what we call the zero trust architecture, right? And if you want to build an end-to-end cybersecurity initiative in your organization today, you will follow the zero trust architecture, where I say, don't trust anything, define explicitly, verify, and all. So what I wanted to highlight here as on this framework is, if you look at zone zero is like the beginning, the starting point of what? Establishing the cybersecurity framework in your environment. Zone zero. And if you look at, what do you see here? You will see governance and you see compliance. So which means data governance is actually the foundation that you leverage to build out what? Your security what? Strategy. Now, if we look at, there is a saying I used to tell most of the people that I engage with. uh, what data governance helps you to do, today, if a hacker is targeting your organization, at the end of the day, if you look at it, what they're after is your data. What drives value for your organization is data. What is important, the most important asset in your organization is data, because your business is all about data. It's either you are producing or consuming data, because it's data that is being processed to build, to give what? Information. So either you are selling a service, you are providing a service, or whatever the case might be, everything we do today is data, right? If a hacker hacks into an organization, what they're after is their data to do what? Either threaten them, blackmail them, exploit them, demand, whatever the case might be. So imagine if you don't have data governance in place in your environment, and a hacker manages to break your firewall, and get access to your network, and you're exposed. So that means both your sensitive data are exposed to them, they have access to them, which means in such case you are building security controls from the outside in. But what data governance helps you to do is building security control from inside out. Because you know that at the end of the day, if a hacker wants to come into your environment, they come from the outside, right? You have security controls in your firewall, in your network, in your infrastructure, and then your data, right? So that is how they go: network, infrastructure, data. Data governance helps you to do that, build that security control from outside out, where you have secured your data from, remember earlier on, is a whole life cycle management of what? Data, which means you also have an arm of data governance that focuses on what? Protecting your data, either with sensitivity label, classification, data loss prevention controls and policies, your insider risk management policies and things like that. So which means even if a hacker breaks the network, gain access to the infrastructure and gets your data, because you have security, you have good data governance practice in your environment, that data is useless to them. Take for example, you have a document that contains credit card details, and you in your environment you've defined a control that says any document or any file or any data in my environment, you've deployed a policy, a data governance policy that says any data in my environment that has an instance of a credit card, automatically classify that with a sensitivity label confidential, and inside that confidential label you have security control that prevent people from sharing those data to people outside your what? Outside your company, and you've already defined permission level for who can access those kind of data. So if I come outside, I'm not part of the organization, I just managed to break in and I get those data, because I don't have permission by default to access those data will be useless to me. So you see why data governance is really important and key to building out our end-to-end what? Security what? Control. Now, as I mentioned earlier, data governance has different aspects. That is why I keep saying that data governance is not just a project, it's not a tool, right? It's not a tool that you just software tool that you just download and then you're able to do data governance. No. And it's not a project that you just take up, it's a program, is a continuous process, because you keep, as your business keep growing, keep evolving, the same way your data governance will keep evolving and also keep growing. So if you look at data governance today, in terms of focus area or things that we see from a data governance perspective is information lifecycle management or governance, data privacy, right? This is where if you know that you are dealing with I think every organization is subject to GDPR, and then also PII, right? Personal identifiable what? Informations, and then your data what? Stewardship, data quality. This is where I talk about data integrity, metadata management. Because if we look at data today, there are two types of data. I know all of us here in data understand that. You have your structured data, you have your unstructured data, right? And most of the time, where metadata management comes in play is most organizations or most enterprise organizations where I'm coming from still have some data on prem, right? Either in SQL database, Oracle, or even data that are sitting on SharePoint servers or SMB files, network share files, and all that. But based on some regulations like PII, right, or maybe local regulation like NDPR or something like that, they are unable to move or manage those data in the cloud, because most of the tools that helps you with each of these focus area of data governance, most of them are cloud-based technology. Remember, if earlier on the vision, you have your policy, process, and what technology. So most of the technology are cloud-based. So this is where metadata management comes in play. You are able to move, control, or manage those data in terms of maybe applying classification, understanding data lineage, applying labels on those data, right? But you don't want to bring those data, the actual data in the cloud. So you're able to move the schema, the metadata to the cloud and use those to control and manage what? Those data. Master reference and data management, data security, right? You see why you need to make sure that all the stakeholders in your environment are involved in what? In data governance, because it actually touches different what? Departments. And then all these sit within what? Three key what? Category, which is what? Remember earlier on, if you want to define your vision and strategy, you need to make sure that you bring in all the stakeholders. People are important. You define your process, because every organization is unique, right? So you define what works for you, and then that will then give you understanding in terms of the technology that you need to leverage to be able to build an end-to-end data governance what? Initiative in your environment. So I know the question will not be, when does an organization need what? Data governance. How do you know you need data governance program in your environment? How do you tell, or when do you tell you need your data governance program in your environment? First of all, you need to answer the question of how important is data to you? How important is data to your business? Remember earlier on, you take for example um, a retailer that sells wholesale shoes and cosmetics, right? For your business to grow, you need to understand your customer base. Who are those repeating customers? What kind of products do you have that sells more, that people are ordering more? What day of the week do people order more? How many order do you receive in a day? These are the things that data helps you to do what? Understand. These are the questions that data helps you to do what? Answer. And once you're able to answer all those questions, you are able to do what? Improve your business, right? So this is why data is key to every business, and that is why data opportunity in terms of data engineer, data science, data analyst, the opportunities are coming out every day, because organizations and businesses wants to start leveraging the data that they have. Some organizations have what we call legacy data. Legacy data are like data that they have been accumulating for years, and they don't know what to do with it, or they didn't see the importance of those data they've been keeping. But now they are seeing that, oh, if I'm able to explore the data that I have, I might be able to do what? Shape my business in a way that I'm able to, make more profit, drive more value for my customers, you know, deliver faster, and all that, right? You need to also understand, if you want to understand how your competitors are doing today, is data that you use to understand that, right? When you do your technical analysis research, right? You have to pull in data that are available to you, and then you compare that with the one you have. So imagine if you don't have data, there is nothing to compare against. So you won't even know how you are doing in the first place. And also, uh, maybe small businesses might be able to do what? Escape from this, right? But if you're a limited liability company, a fully registered company, you pay your tax and you are recognized, or a big SMEs, SMBs, and enterprise, maybe startups, little startups, right, might be able to escape compliance from a data perspective, right? In terms of how do you manage data, how do you consume data as a data controller, what do you use your data to do, right? How are you handling people's data? So if you are a small business sitting somewhere, maybe you are not even gathering data, you might be able to escape from it, but no business, no well-established business will be able to escape from any data incidents, be it personal or internal or confidential. So when you look at all these questions now, right? If those questions are something that you want to answer, that you really crave answer for, that you really want the answer, right? That means this tells you that no, I need a data governance program in my environment. And if you're able to establish a data governance program in your environment, what does that look for you, right? What does that look like? Right? In terms of understanding the element of success of data governance. One of those is you will then be able to do manage the growing data landscape that you have, because you have already defined a program. So the new data that are coming already have a channel where they are going, already have a steward, already have analysts in place, already have security controls in place, already have policies, data governance policies in place that govern the use, define what people can use them for, define who has access to them and things like that. And then you will no longer have what we call siloed data or dark data, what we call dark data. Dark data are data that exist, but you don't know that they exist. So that is one of the things that data governance actually helps most organizations to do, what we call automated data discovery, right? I've been in the field, so most of the challenges of organizations today, even enterprise organization. Remember, I mentioned legacy data earlier on, right? Where organizations have accumulated data. Most of them might have even forgotten that, oh, there is a data source somewhere that is bringing data in my environment. Because of how big the organization is, it might be something that is being generated from one department like that, right? So, and you as a chief data officer, you don't have visibility of that. That means you can't derive value from it. That means you can't derive insight from it. That means you can't even govern it. You can't even do secure it also. So if you implement a good data governance program in your environment, you are able to eliminate silos. With what we call data governance helps you to do what we call auto data discovery, where you're able to do discover data that you have within your data estate. Increase agility. This explains itself, right? Because you already have data in place, you have your data pipeline, you have everything in place, you have visibility of your data, you have your policy, everything, data security and all, right? So you're able to quickly spin off data, maybe customer record data, and you're able to analyze and look into, how your customers are doing, what they are buying, their satisfaction rates, things like that. You're able to make informed decisions, and your business is able to grow, and you're able to make profit, more profit, and drive what? At the end of the day, you're able to drive value because you understand your customers. You've looked into the data that you have of them in terms of how they are shopping, time they are using to shop, how much they spend, their location, things like that. You're able to use that to, inform how you refine your business, refine your programs, refine your initiative to be able to do what? Add value to your customers. And a certified customer means what? More money for you as a business owner. And then data governance program helps you to do what? Comply with industry regulations. There are a lot of them. And if you don't have data governance in place, you will be you will not have that visibility into what you are subject to as an organization, or based on the business you do, or based on the industry you play in, or even based on the country you operate from, right? So if you have a very good data governance in place, you're able to escape those, right? You have visibility into what is required of you as a business from a compliance standpoint. Maybe you are running the NIST framework against your environment, the GDPR, the PII, PCI, and all that, all those regulations, and you're able to do what? Maintain compliance. So how do you tell, or how, if you look at your organization today, um, the way you tell where you are is through what we call the data governance maturity model. This gives you like a view of, where you are and where you can be, right? So most, I've spoken to most people that they will say, "Oh, I think most customers, people are always defensive, right?" So if you ask them, "Oh, where do you see yourself in the data governance maturity model?" They'll be like, "Oh, I think we are in 4, we are in 5." And then if I go ahead to ask question like, what kind of process do you have today to manage in place data? What kind of process and policies do you have today to manage data loss prevention? What kind of process do you have today? What kind of data uh, classification taxonomy do you have today that defines what your appetite for risk, right? What process have you defined today to manage to respond to data incidents? When you start asking questions like this, you start on discovering that you see their level will start dropping. So they will drop from that 4 to like 3 or 2, right? So it's a journey. That is what I always tell them. So don't feel like, oh, when I'm at 5, that means I've done everything I need to do. And if you look at level 5, it says what? Optimizing. So is not ending. You keep do what? You keep what? Evolving, changing, optimizing, and do what? Adding value to your business. Now, if I let me, what I've done so far is to, give us from a high level what the model of data governance looks like. How do you even start with data governance? What are the frameworks out there that can help you guide you into building an end-to-end data governance program for your business, for your organization? Uh, and then in terms of what are the key things or key elements or focus area that you need to pay attention to from a data governance standpoint, and then how do you evaluate yourself as a business, as a company, to understand where you are in the data governance maturity model. Now, we've done the people, right? We've done the process. Now is the technology. And if we talk about the technology, uh, there is a solution called Microsoft what? Purview. Is a unified data governance tool. What we mean by unified or comprehensive, you can interchange the word. A comprehensive, unified, end to end, all those. What that means is what I've been saying earlier on, what we call in place data management. So one key capability, if a solution is comprehensive or if a solution has that in place capability, one thing you will always see is in terms of pulling resources. So now, resource or assets in our case here is data. So I'm assuming I'm a business, I have a company, and we have, some applications that we use to run our business like SAP, or Workdays, or any ERP system. And we also have some data in the cloud, maybe in our Azure SQL or MySQL or MongoDB. And then we have some data on-prem in our Oracle database on-prem, FlexCube, and we have in SharePoint server, things like that. So as you can see from my screen here, So these are different data sources, right? That data are flowing into the solution from. So on-prem, cloud, different SaaS applications, you're able to pull those data, right? You're able to pull those data and manage all of them. So you don't need to have a Purview instance on-prem. You don't need to have a Purview instance in the cloud. You don't need to have a Purview instance in your SaaS application to be able to do data governance. It helps you to do what we call in place data governance, where it pulls in data, connect to those different sources, and you're able to manage and govern those data from what? From the solution. And the key three capabilities that sit within the solution is data catalog that enable data discovery that we talked about, the automated data discovery, right? Data insights that gives you, visibility into which data have been classified, which data contains personal identifiable information, which data are subject to GDPR, things like that. And then data maps that helps you to do what? Manage your metadatas and give you visibility in terms of understanding data lineage also. And all these datas can then be leveraged in other, you can pull those data out into what? Other different solution, maybe to Power BI, to Azure, to Microsoft, to SQL, whatever the case might be. Still maintaining what? Data what? Integrity. Now, if we look at elements of data governance from a technology standpoint, which is looking at the Microsoft what? Purview. You remember I spoke about the data map that helps you to do what? Unify, make data meaningful to your organization or to your environment, right? Data map helps you to do what we call uh, uh, data lineage, right? You're able to understand where is this data coming from and where is this data now. And throughout the process of data transformation, is the data still maintaining its integrity or has the data been compromised, right? And then we have what data catalog that helps you to do what? Curate and bring all your data in one place, right? You can do things like searching. Maybe take for example, you've put in data from Oracle on-prem, MySQL in the cloud, SaaS application from SAP, and then you do a search of customer, maybe customer name or maybe something. So the solution is able to give you information based on all those what? Data sources. So it creates data or information that relates to your search from those data sources, and you're able to do what? Use those data to do whatever you want to do. And the solution comes with what we call intelligence recommendation in terms of how you manage your data, and also lineage visualization. This is really what important. Where is your data coming from and where is your data now? And throughout the journey of your data, what has happened what in between. The another element of what data governance is, you need to have an high-bed or overarching or holistic view or insight in your what? Data estate. You need to, as a maybe chief data officer, data controller, whatever the case might be, you are employed as a data engineer in an organization today, and you are tasked with managing data program in your organization. One element of data governance is insight. You need to have what? Insight into the entire data estate, and this is what that looks like, right? From a structural data standpoint, right? From a structural data standpoint, you need to understand how many data have been curated, how many data have been classified, those that have not been classified, gaps that you have and gaps that you don't have, where you need to do more discovery and things like that. And from And from a unstructured data standpoint, which is when we start looking at data like your Word document, your PowerPoint, your PDF, your Excel document. You need to also have a view in terms of, are those documents being classified? What are the classification labels that is mostly used in your organization, and who are applying those labels? How much of how much of your data in your environment has been labeled? What are the exposure? What are the risk? You have this end-to-end view. This will then inform you. Remember earlier on I said data governance program is a continuous journey. So as you keep seeing this insight, the tool is giving you the insight. It then informs what you need to go back to from the vision and strategy standpoint. Do you need to speak to people? Do you need to go back to people's side of things? Do you need to look at the process side of things? Or do you need to look at technology, which is looking at probably implementation of those controls or those recommendations or those activities, right? Maybe you look at this and the tool is telling you, like what I have on my screen here. It says we have a lot of content that contains, or documents that contains full name, physical name, HR document, tax, statement of work, finance data, source code. It gives you all this kind of information. Then you can then decide, oh, if I have this amount of data in my environment, and that means I need to actually protect them. And because if they are sensitive to you as a business, you need to do what? Actually protect them. So you can then go ahead and deploy what? You know, maybe data loss prevention policy. So
Mr. We have like 1 minute, 1 minute more. Thank you.
yeah, I'm actually on time. I'm done. I'm done.
Okay,
So
good. Sorry about that.
yeah. So I'm actually done. Yeah, I'm done. So this gives you end-to-end view in terms of what you need to do from a data governance perspective and the elements or the focus area that you need to look at. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking to us today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Winai Meto. Thank you so, so very much. Okay. Um, if there are questions, of course, we'll definitely let you know while you are still in the studio. I've dropped it to the audience that should they have questions, they should drop it. All right, I'm going to uh, pull up my slide, my screen right now. And everyone, thank you for uh, staying tuned once again. We have in the house a strong man, the powerhouse data governance guru, and the person of Jody Roberts. Mr. Jody Roberts is a technology entrepreneur who is passionate about solving social problems with the help of technology. He has over 20 years experience in the IT industry with a deep specialization in data management across various platforms. He has received the Microsoft MVP Award for data platform for the last decade and continue to play a critical role in building technology communities across Africa and mentoring young professionals when he is not solving real world problems. He spends his free time doing what we call crossfield and, of course, mountain bike. With me in the studio, Mr. Jody Robert. You want to check your mic? Your mic is still muted. We are happy to have you here with us. Mr. Jody. Yes, your mic is
Good
muted. Okay.
afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's just very cold in Cape Town where I'm sitting.
Oh my.
Thanks for attending today's session. So, can you guys hear me? Fine. So, cool. So, my name is Jody Roberts. I am a Microsoft Data Platform MVP. I am the founder and CTO of a company called Northern Data, based in Cape Town, South Africa. and we specialize data management. I've been in the industry for more than 20 years, and my specialization is the entire data platform, helping organizations to build intelligent data platforms. One thing that was interesting that Winner was talking about, that he mentioned in his talk, was how important data governance is and where that fits or when you need it. Right? And people normally find out too late that they actually need it. Right? One of the things that was mentioned in the introduction to Winner was that companies that have proper data governance structure in place make 20% more revenue than companies that don't. Right? So I thought it would be very interesting to show you another stat regarding that. And let me just bring this up. Cool. So today's session will be about data governance in Fabric, but before we get there, I just want to show you guys an interesting stats. So some of the things that we will cover, and as Winner mentioned inside in his presentation, where he shared some slides of what Purview is. So we will cover what data mapping is, data cataloging is, data estate insights, data sharing, and data policies. Right. So we will talk about those and what they are. They're all integrated into Microsoft Fabric, and Microsoft Fabric is integrated into Microsoft Purview. And what we will go through is, one, how do we actually go through and setting up the backend side of it inside of Microsoft Purview, and how that looks inside of Fabric, and how we scan sources. But this is the stat that I actually just wanted to show. Right, so this is a representation of a server. This is a server that was done last year, or in 2021, what was released last year. And it's around if you don't have effective governance, right? And what does data breaches cost per lost row of data in each of these countries? And this survey was conducted by IBM and the Penome Institute. And they do the survey every year to see how data breaches impact companies or countries and organizations. And this cost is staggering. Yes, it might look low because it's in South Africa, it's $3.21 US dollars per row of lost data. But now you can imagine if somebody steals your information and they steal 2 million records or 10 million records for that matter, and then suddenly, boom, there goes it. Right? So then that becomes an astronomical cost again. And then people want to wake up and say, listen, we need to start thinking data governance and put that in place. So as part of my daily job, I consult 2 companies, big and small. We consult the companies big and small on how to implement data strategies along with and how to make data governance a big part of that. Data governance doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put strict security in and make your data inflexible, but it's actually there to make sure that the data is actually flexible across your organization and that the data is trustworthy, so there can be one version of the truth within your organization. Cool. So data insights inside of Purview, or inside of Microsoft Fabric. So not sure how many of you have worked with Purview or have started testing it out. Why did I go with this one first? Okay, we'll just cover it. It's in the wrong order. Data estate insights gives you an overview of this. Helps you discover what kind of data do you have in your organization, and where in your organization that data lies. Right, so inside of Purview, there's a big report that you can run. You also get that inside of Fabric, Microsoft Fabric. And I'll show you one on how that looks. Data sharing, sorry for dog, someone just shut the door. So data sharing. So one of the things that Purview allows you to do is to actually share data externally and also share data internally with your customers and business partners. Part of that is how that in Purview you can set up certain data shares. And that will obviously that will now pull through to your data that will pull through to Purview to Microsoft Fabric. So to set up, so by default, Purview in Azure, Purview inside of Microsoft Fabric, Purview is turned on automatically inside of Microsoft Fabric. But for a lot of people, you obviously now need to discover your labels and you can apply labels. So Purview makes it a lot easier to actually just apply labels instead of going through the UI for Purview. Right, so Fabric makes it easier. You can just go to your data set and say apply. Actually. But one of the things before we actually get there to that part is to say, okay, cool. How do I turn on information protection inside of Fabric so that I know that users can apply information labels so that we know what not to send out and what we can send out. Right? And you want to allow users to apply sensitivity labels to content, right? Because as the administrator in your organization, whether that's on the IT side or wherever, you don't necessarily understand or know where all the data is. Right? So that's why you have things like when I was alluding to was data stewards, you have CDOs, you have your data custodians, and the more data stewards you have, the better because they understand their data and they can take accountability for that data, which makes the IT admins, the sys administrators' job a lot easier. Right? Part of it in the settings is that you can actually set up labels for data sources and then have them automatically applied downstream. So this one here is once you apply it on a say a data set or for example Power BI. Once you apply it on a Power BI data set, it will automatically apply that label to all the related data inside of the report and the flow of it. And then you can allow workspace admins to override the sensitivity label. So if they think this is wrong, then they can apply it, override it. And you can also restrict certain content in there that should not be applied. So this is just the admin port. So you'll see this inside of Fabric when you log in, and you can gives you an overview of what data protection looks like. What is how many dashboards, reports are protected or have sensitivity labels in it, and then there's also another report that will give you an overview, a deeper understanding of what is actually protected, and will give you a breakdown. So to move just away from the slides, it's this. I just need to change sharing. I just need to switch screens. Okay. I'm just sharing my other screen.
Okay.
Can you guys see my screen? Awesome.
Yes.
That's what you see here is the back end of Purview. Okay, cool. So Winners spoke about it in his previous session, and now we're actually going to delve into it and see what it is. Because what you set up here is just it's for your entire organization, and it has an effect on everything that you will see inside our fabric. So this is the back end of Purview. So I've got a data catalog, I've got the data mapping. So this is my catalog, and I can go and browse assets. So I've got one data source here, and in that data source, there's 108 assets. Right? And I can then see, and I can edit terms and add business terms here, but I can also just browse my business assets, my collections, and I can see what type of data I have in here. So for mine, I currently have a whole bunch of Power BI stuff. Right? So as you can see, they are all labeled, and that labels just don't appear they appear in here, they appear automatically. But inside of Purview, you've got all of these different governance classifications, data classifications, and labeling. So you'll see here's the labeling. But so inside of Purview and Power BI, you have the ability to endorse and certify data assets. Right. So when you do that, that then shows that the data is trusted and can be used anywhere. Right. And you can actually set up policies like that to say if people search data in Purview and the data is not certified, that they cannot use it. I can also then that's just business assets. So for a data mapping, right? So if I want to register a data source, if I want to see an entire collection of what goes on inside of my organization, this is where I'll come. So in my case, this is just a demo data. So this is my collection, and so this could be your company name, and then under here you can have each department, and under that you can have sources, right? So in my case, I've added Power BI as a source, and how you go about that so that it actually picks up whatever you use is setting it as registering a source inside of here. Just be careful though, when you register Power BI, it will pick it up automatically. You can only have one Purview instance in your tenant and in your Azure tenant, and that will pick up your Power BI tenant automatically. So your Power BI and your Purview tenant has to be in the same Azure or not subscription, but in the same primary tenant. Right, and I can then go and I can register my sources through here. In my case, I selected Power BI and could pick that up, and I could then simply do a scan. Right, so I'll just jump over to what that scan will look like. Um, in here, you'll also see. So the reason I'm going through this with you guys is because I want you to understand what is required to make all those. Sorry for that. To make all this happen, right, to the classifications and where that classification rules come from. Right, so from a classification point of view, so these are all the rules that are inside of the Microsoft Admin Center, and yeah, it's all the rules that are inside of the Microsoft Admin Center. So if you go to Purview, you will see all of these, right? So these are standard. There's about 300 of them that are all standard. And then you've got the premium templates that you actually need to pay for. Right? So, and you can then also go set up custom classifications and labeling. Right? So then that will go and label your resources. And then, as I said, look, you've got data shares here as well. So you can go and share, you can create data shares. And you can go and select what type of data share it is. Currently, only these are supported inside of Purview. So I know that they are still working on things to share it externally, and that will be released soon. I won't have any data insights because this Purview instance I created this morning, and it normally takes a couple of days to populate. And then you've got data policies. And data policies will allow you to go and create workflows. So if somebody actually needs access to a data set, they can request access to said data set. That is the you can either make the workflow automatically approve access to that data set, or you can go and say, okay, cool. Will only work if you have if you have if your resources are inside of Azure, then that will work. Right. So, like take for example SQL databases, Azure SQL databases, then that will work. And you can request access, and it will, if you grant access, set up a policy or workflow that will do that. That will give automated access. It will only give read-only access to whichever database you wanted to give to. We wanted to be compliance center. Right? So if you go inside into your Office 365 admin and you click on admin and you click on compliance, it will then open up this. Right? So you then got policies, different server. You've got policies through here which we can apply, and that will also go through to wherever you reach out inside of Purview. So now for the good stuff. That's are there any questions before I go on? Cool. No questions yet.
No questions. Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Uh, cool. So one thing I forgot to mention, to get it actually to get it to actually scan Purview or Purview to scan Power BI, you actually have to go through a setup process where you actually have to add the service account to a group or to a service principal, right? And then it will allow you to scan. It takes about 20 minutes or so to set up and to populate properly from Azure into Power BI, or at least from Power BI into Azure, and then you'll be able to scan your data successfully. It's been something that's, yeah, it took me a while to figure that part out. Yeah, cool. Here we are. So Microsoft Fabric. So if you want to scan your data sources, so if you go into, okay, we went through the information protection and what you need to apply there in order to get things to work. And then when you go down to where is it? The admin admin section for the APIs. Cool. So yeah. So get to the admin section for Fabric. You need to enable this. We get here. You need to enable this, right? And then you need to apply it to your specific security groups that you created and added your purview service accounts to. And you add it in there. And once you've added that there, it will grant them access. The purview account access to Power BI and to Fabric, at least to Fabric. And then you've also then got your um, to enhance API responses with detailed metadata, right? So you have to enable that. You can either do it for the entire organization, or you can just do it for the user that for the security group that Purview is part of. And so that once you've inserted that or enabled that in your organization, you'll be able to connect connect through Purview through to Fabric to actually pick up data. Right. So if I go into my workspaces, or for example, if I go into this demo that I have here, so of a finance report, and I then want to go and say, cool, okay, this is just the report. And if you want to go and I want to view the data set, and on this data set, I want to yeah, I can see what is the confidentiality, right? So that was applied through um, it's something that I applied in this week already. But yeah, I can then go and change it to say like a general, and anybody can access it. And anything that uses this data set here, right, is now automatically by default de- declassified, if you can put it that way. So here, the relationship. So now it says, okay, see what already exists, and it says there's my finance report. Right, so I just did it on the data set here. But now it's going to go to the report. It says, okay, relation, that's a downstream report that's shared with this data set. And I've got the endorsement, and the confidentiality is now this. I can now refresh this and see if it applies. Okay, that's just it. But now at least I can see that the sensitivity labeling has been moved, right? Oh, workspaces. I'm just trying to open a workspace because I want to show you guys how that actually gets applied. That's I need a data set. Cool. Okay, this one I can't touch because I don't have info. I don't have access to that one. Mm. So once you apply it, right, you will get similar to what you see inside of my data collection. You will see your report's data lineage. But yes, this is something simple, but it will also give you what the classifications are then on those. And then something that will tie into this, into you using Fabric, is where you can actually set properties up. So while we are here, I might as well just show you that. So you can go and say, okay, cool, who is the contact for this? Or again, I can say, who's the expert on this? And I can actually edit that here and go and add in the expert's name. Right. So if winner is the expert on this data set, then I will add, and if I'm the owner of that data set, I can add my email address there, and people will then be able to see who they need to contact if they want access to that. You can then also go and you can add in, like I mentioned earlier, the number for, or which level of classification do you want to apply. That's if I go, uh, so South African, I use for South African stuff, and I can say, okay, cool. Look for anything that has a South African ID number in it, and then classify that so that people know that they don't have to send out that type of information. And if you want to see where your data set is and how it works, you can see here's a Power BI data set, and this is the Power BI report that uses that data set. Then also inside of Purview, I just need to get to. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the uh, hub. Yes, I'll get to that now. But this is this. This is the screen that you will see. These are the reports that you will see. These are the reports that you will see. So you can see how many of your what your sensitivity is like, or sensitive your labeling and things are within your reports. Right? And you can then see how many items you have inside of there. You can then delve deeper into Fabric and see which reports are actually there. And what the labelings are, how many do you still need to do, because you can obviously see based on your numbers what you have in terms of labeling. Oh, you guys saw the wrong screen. Cool. So, in a nutshell, full Fabric, you won't have anything to really worry about, because as soon as you spin up Fabric, you're automatically enabling your dashboards or purview by default, right? So if we go into the hub, so you can add it as a shortcut here as well. So if we go into the Microsoft Purview Fabric Hub, you'll be able to, what I showed you now in the back end of Purview, you'll be able to access that right through here. Through here. And you can then also see search audit logs for user activity. And it will then go and open up your so through the audit center, you can then go and search for the types of activities, what people did, and you see your values and stuff, right? But okay, we don't want to do that now. Here we have, like I explained, we've got the 3 certified versus promoted data items, how many workspaces we have, how many items are in those 139 workspaces. We can see which of our workspace items are classified. Right, so this is just part of it. We can then go and see the full report. Right, so this is a more detailed report that allows you to actually dive in. So this is just the items inside that you can see in the governance space. And now you can say, okay, cool. From a labeling point of view, what did we label, especially here at the bottom, and you can then go and investigate and either change that if you need to. Cool. So that is what's currently available inside of Purview through or Fabric from a data governance perspective. But as I said, look, a lot of the governance will take place inside of Purview, and you have to go through Purview to actually set up your policies. And through that, you will be able to set up custom policies, design what your business view will look like, applications, who uses what, where, how. And then once that is done, it will all filter back into um, Microsoft Fabric. Because it's not fully baked in yet from where you can deploy from here, you have to go through one information protection. So apply labeling. And once you've done through here, it will then go and it will populate through to Purview and to, well, this is Purview, but it will go through to Microsoft Fabric. So anyone have any questions? Because I kind of made the session last just about 40 minutes. Mr. Moderator, any questions?
Yeah. No questions yet. If you can hear me, no questions yet. So let me put it so. Yeah. Initially, of course, you have technically answered some of the questions. Someone dropped initially, what is data governance? Of course, Mr. Winner, and to corroborate the point, you have also said some things relating to that. So I'm sure the person is fine, having heard that from Mr. Winner and from you. So that was the only question. So everyone, please, if there are questions, there are things you really want to know, because data governance is very, very important, just like they've been saying. In terms of data protection, you don't want your data to be exposed. You want your sensitivity label to say, okay, what can they use? Can they have access to this? Is this secure? Can they use? So these are some of the things they have been, exposing us to. So if there are questions, we can drop it. We just have some few minutes more. So, Mr. Jody, for now, there are no questions. Are there other things you want to, because I remember someone sending me a DM in WhatsApp to say, has it been released? So maybe you want to help me really talk about that. Has it been fully
Okay.
released?
So yes, Fabric has been released.
No, in
So
terms of purview.
Microsoft Fabric has been released, but and certain a lot of data governance, so that is still ongoing. That gets rolled out every month or so. There's updates done to Purview. So Purview itself is an actual platform, right? Just with different labels to it. So or different apps, if you can put it that way. So the information lifecycle management, the data governance, those are all different apps inside of Purview.
Okay.
And what I would suggest you do is read up on Purview, but it's going to play a major role in one. A lot of companies are looking for software to catalog the data. Firstly, because they don't know where everything is. Secondly, Purview is baked into Microsoft products, into Office 365, so they don't have to go spend $1 million on Cluedine or on Informatica, or because only those software certain the competition Purview's competition only does certain things. Right? Purview tries to address all of that, but it's certainly not the best at doing all of it. But to start off with, say for example, DevOps policies that you want to push through, you can govern that through Purview. You want a catalog of where all your data sits in your organization? Purview can do that for you. If you want to add glossary terms, Purview does that for you certainly. Right. If you want data lineage, Purview does that to a certain degree because it doesn't support all data sources yet. Some of it can connect to it
So,
and just
so
do
what are
for
the
your
data
subset of
sources? What are the
services, so like
data
data
sources that
cataloging.
is not supported at the moment?
So, um, so from a yes, we can connect to it. It can do Oracle. It can do is the AWS stuff. It can connect on-prem. So you'll have to set up a self-hosted runtime host, integrated runtime host for that. It can connect to SAP and all of those services. What it won't do to certain services is show the data lineage for that. So, for example, if I connect to um, let me just see if I can get it here. But if I connect to a stored procedure, that's this is well, this was a stored procedure. If it's going to show, I deleted that one. But anyways, it will show me a stored procedure that I connected to, that a system stored procedure inside an Azure SQL database. But if I go and I want to see a user stored procedure, it will not show me the lineage of the user stored procedure. So a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do from a lineage point of view, I will then have to go and use the API, the Atlas API, which is a Spark-based API, and you can then do whatever you want programmatically through that. And we find that a lot with our customers. We have some big ones that we work with, where we actually have to show them how to do it programmatically. And what we find frustrating is that because it's not baked into the UI of Purview, customers don't want to use it. You have to convince them to go and use it. Because if they can't click on something, they're not going to use it. And it's the same with, say, for example, SSIS. If you're running on prem and you actually want to go and scan an SSIS package using Purview, one side Microsoft will tell you it can do that, right? And they'll tell you, no, you have to kick off a package inside ADF to go and kick off a package, SSIS package on prem. But that's crap. Because why did you have to jump through hoops and you're not even going to get all the information that you want? And we've tried this.
Yes.
Right? Then I got told I need to actually make a hack job of a custom connector, because you can write your own custom connectors for Purview to connect to other data sources.
Oh, wow.
And we actually had to go that custom route and do it programmatically so that we can actually get our packages, information on packages. But look, data governance is something that you need to think about. It needs to align with the company strategy. For me, what I always ask customers is, where's your audit report? So you can see where they failed on, and then you start working based off the audit report. Because as soon as people start passing their audits, the less pressure on them from on top, from the top management, and the more faith they have in you because you've now helped them solve, you've taken a headache away for them. So yeah.
Thank you for that. That's
Cool.
detailed enough for me. That's detailed enough for me. So thank you so very much. I believe that from everything you have shown us, You have answered some people's questions, just like the one I just threw to the floor. Someone actually asked for that, and I believe that if the person is online right now, it is clear. It is clear enough, and I think that that's fair enough. So we'll take it from there. So thank you so much. If there are no other things you want to expose to us, I believe that from what you've shared and Mr. Winners, we have been able to pick some learnings from here. So once again, thank you. I can feel that the code is so much over there. So sorry that we have to to bring you online to come and talk to us at this time. We appreciate your time. So everyone, thank you for being here once again. We've been exposing. Yes, go ahead. You want to say something? Yeah, Mr. Jody, you're trying to say something, right?
No, no, I don't want to say anything. I just want to say that. No, no, I just want to say thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us. So everyone, thank you for being here from day one till now. On behalf of the community, we want to appreciate you. Of course, this is recorded and it will be available on YouTube page as usual. Please leverage on all of these things that we have been showing to us as a community. It is for the development of the community, and of course, everyone that find this helpful. Just know that a lot has been dished out from day one till now. And I can assure you that if you can consistently practice with all those video and of course on the side, leverage on Fabric and practice with you watching the video, you will be able to understand what we mean. There is no how you want to do anything without considering the data governance. It is very important in terms of protection. That's why data governance comes as the last module out of all the modules we have. So once again, Mr. Winner, we want to sincerely appreciate you for your time. Audience, we thank you for being here. For all the team, we also thank you once again for being here. Of course, Mr. Odeji has appreciated everyone. It's just to let you know that every contribution from Mr. Ayobami to Mr. Isiaka to Mr. Paul to the people at the back end, which I'm also part of. I'm here also at the back end. Madam Janet, Madam Han, Mr. Rashid. Sorry if I can't mention your name. A lot of people just know that we've done something and community is appreciating you. So thank you. We will draw the curtain at this junction. We just want to say thank you, Olariwaju. Thank you so much for showing up all the time. We appreciate you. So Mr. Jody, some people are also saying thank you for your time. So just to let you know that we appreciate you for being here. So
No, no, my
thank you,
pleasure.
everyone. Yeah, thank you, everyone. There is no slide to show
Yes,
what
guys.
next because this we've come to the end of Datafluence. Of course, subsequently you have some things planned. We would unfold it in the community as time goes by. So once again, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day. So bye, Mr. Jody. Bye, Mr. Winner.
Cheers, guys.
Um,
Bye.
Yes, bye, everyone. Thank you.